Hey, welcome to Whole Human Psychology. I'm Isaac Wicker. Today we're going to be doing part 5 of our threat cycle series. Today's cycle is the isolation, low self-esteem cycle. So it relates in some ways to the cycle we just talked about last time with the avoidance, low self-confidence, but we're getting specifically into the relationship side of things and what that does and what that means for us. I personally think this is one of the most destructive cycles and often underlies some of the more destructive elements of mental health problems. So let's get into it. Isolation is what people do when they're sad. It's one of the main signs of depression is you isolate. Why? There's people are walking around with this belief of I'm really down. There's something wrong with me. I'm not well. And so I don't want to be around other people. But not just like I don't want to be around other people, I don't feel like it, but there's a deeper sense. There's a deeper sense that's connected to your sense of identity and value, which is other people actually don't want to be around me. It's not good for other people to be around me. And so I don't want to be around other people, partially because maybe they're happy and going through all their stuff and I just don't want to deal with it. But also a big reason is I think I'm going to be bad for you. That you, like maybe it's I really care about you and I know you care about me. And so I don't want to bring you down too. I don't want to make you feel bad with my problems, with my feelings. And so I'm going to avoid you. Sometimes it's actually a way we try to love other people is by isolating from them. To say, right now I'm sad and I don't want you to be sad too. So I'm not going to be around you. I'm not going to answer your calls. I'm not going to talk to you. And this is really destructive. It's destructive for relationships. It's destructive for yourself and for other people. And so even though if it has this root of love, nobody wants to be around a downer. I don't want to be a burden on other people. I don't want to bring the vibe down. I don't want to make other people not happy anymore because I'm so sad. I'm depressed. I'm so out of it. And so I'm going to avoid you. And I'm going to isolate and just stick with myself. But then what happens is you're stuck with yourself. You're stuck with yourself when you're in your worst spot. You're stuck with yourself saying, I am in a really bad spot. Things are dark. I've got all these dark thoughts, all these dark emotions, all these dark beliefs. And all I have is myself. Everything is just reflecting those back into my head. So I've got my distractions and all that, but at the end of the day, I'm left with my dark thoughts and my dark beliefs and my dark emotions. And that is terrible for your mental health. But it's also not good for the people that love you. Because being around somebody sad isn't bad. It's not a bad thing to be around someone who's struggling. And the people who love you, one of the scariest, freakiest things can be, I don't know what's going on in your life. I just know you're in a bad place. I can't connect with you. I can't engage with you at all. You avoid me. You isolate from me. And I have no way of giving you love or connecting with you. Because humans actually want to give love. We're made in a way where we want to give. I so often hear this phrase of like, I don't want to be a burden on other people. Well, be a burden on other people. That's what communities are. That's what friendships are. That's what families are. That if you can vulnerably open up and be a burden on somebody, that actually can be a delight, a joy, a place of intimacy, a place of connection within a relationship. I've been working in mental health for almost 10 years, and that's why I got into mental health. Was I loved being with people when they were in their dark places, to show them that they weren't alone. It's not that I get all caught up in all their darkness and all their stuff, but that I can go there and love them. I can go there and bring hope. I can go there and carry somebody who's a burden. Because maybe all you see is a burden, but that's not all I see. Because when you open up, when we open up, when we're vulnerable, when we show that part of us that's hurting, that's got big questions, that doesn't know what to do, that's a gift. That's a gift within a relationship, to be able to carry that part of somebody. Everybody can hear your jokes, but to hear that part of you that hurts and has big questions and is suffering and doesn't know what to do and just needs help, that's intimate. That's amazing. That's precious. Because that part of you is also precious. And so relationships, when they're at their best, are actually sharing that. It's like, I'm down. I'm not going to just share that with everybody. I'm not going to just necessarily go to all the parties. But I'm going to call up the people who I need. The people who are my people. And I found that in my own life, it's actually when I'm down that I really identify my people and make my people. Because that move of sharing where you're vulnerable, sharing where it really hurts, sharing where you're scared and insecure, sharing that with somebody, that's actually what makes somebody the closest friend. That's actually the step that makes true, deep, intimate, vulnerable connection. And that can carry on after you're not depressed anymore. So depression wants to tell you all this stuff about yourself, that you're worthless, that you can't do anything, that you're terrible, that nobody wants to be around you. And if you're stuck, isolated with yourself, you're going to believe it because that's all you're hearing. Because you're stuck with your own thoughts, you're stuck with your own beliefs. And so you're going to be stuck there and isolate. And you're not going to hear messages of love, of people who really can meet you there, see you there, and love you. And so that's why I think this cycle is the most destructive. Because it keeps you trapped in this sense that you're worthless. Nobody wants to be around you. You're just a burden. And those are deep, deep, terrible beliefs to carry. And it doesn't allow somebody to come in and love you there. And so this cycle just keeps happening, right? You isolate, then you're stuck with your own thoughts, and then your self-esteem plummets, right? You start to believe those thoughts. You're worthless. Nobody wants to be around you. You're just a burden. And so those thoughts are going to make you want to isolate more. And what else happens is when you isolate, you're sending these messages. Hey, I don't want to be around you. I'm not going to answer your phone calls. I'm going to say no to everything you invite me to. I'm going to shut you down. And so you're actually creating distance, not just in your physical space, but you're pushing people away. Isolating isn't just about running away, it's about pushing people away. Because when you first isolate, actually people reach out. And they try to lean in. They say, hey, what's going on? And then you push them back and push them back and push them back. And then you stop. You push back all of the positive contact, all of the positive relationships in your life. And again, you're stuck with just your own negativity as you weed out positive people. And continue to send them the message over and over again. I don't want you. I don't want you. Go away. And people will eventually listen to that. And I think this cycle, it doesn't just happen when we're depressed. This is actually becoming cultural. It's becoming the cultural way we live, is by isolating ourselves. I don't want to be a burden to others is becoming more of a mainstream cultural thought. That, yeah, I don't want to have true interaction with you. I don't want to have true vulnerability with you because that's weird, that's awkward, that's problematic, that's bothersome, that's not fun. And so we're getting into this really scary, destructive place just culturally that says isolation is better. Have relationships where it's safe, where somebody can minimally engage, where we can minimally engage through social media and through phones, but not actually like up front where we're like getting in each other's space, where we're potentially going to interfere with each other. Relationships that interfere with each other, those are good. We think they're bad because we don't want to be a bother. We don't want to be a bother. We don't want to be a burden. Wouldn't everybody just be better off without me? No! That you are good. That actually you interfering with other people is relationship, and relationship is good. Be a burden. Be a burden to other people. That's a good thing. That's called community. That's called a relationship. And I want to just talk about another way that we isolate, because it isn't just complete physical isolation. I stay in my room all the time. That happens. But there's a more subtle way that we isolate, which is even if we're around other people, we're fairly disengaged. We try to stay small. We try to not interfere with other people, to not have them accidentally bump into us. I was just working with some clients on this where it's like even our body posture gets small. It's like, oh, I'm sorry I exist. There's this real sense of like, I'm sorry that I exist. And then if you bumped into me, that's my fault because I exist. And my existence is bad. And I think you bumping into me is bad for you because my existence is bad. So we make our body small. We make our voice small. But not only that, we make our emotions smaller. We make our thoughts smaller. We don't want to have disruptive opinions or disruptive emotions or disruptive voices or disruptive bodies. We're so afraid of disrupting others, as if others are doing all important things and that we're just getting in the way. This is a terrible way to view yourself. And it's actually a terrible way of viewing other people. Other people are made for relationship just like you are. And that you bumping into them and making demands of them and being a burden to them actually draws them out, helps them to be more fully human. That you can be more, they can be more free in relationships if you're more free in relationships. That you disclosing deep, vulnerable parts of yourself actually helps another person disclose deep, vulnerable parts of themselves. And then both of you can feel seen and heard and accompanied. And that's beautiful. Because so often we live on this very surface level of semi-sarcastic, trying to have fun, but also trying not to get in each other's way. And we think that the deep part of ourselves is the scary, problematic, destructive side. But that's actually where intimacy and connection happens. That's where we need to get as humans. This is just the fun, going through life, trying to get things done part. The connection actually happens here, where there's vulnerability, where you bump into somebody else and cause a problem, where you get in their way, where you are a burden, where you affect them. Because that's at the end of the day what we're talking about, is you showing up in a way that you can actually affect somebody else with where you're really at. And so what do we do? I talked about this before a little bit, where we actually want to get to is being a burden. It's not that you want to be disrespectful to somebody else or you want to take advantage of other people, but that you want to let your real heart rest on somebody. That's the best sense of being a burden. Is that my heart, even if it's heavy, can rest on you, can rest with you. And that as your friend, I want to hold your heart. That's the best burden. That's a joy and an honor to be able to hold your heart. And so, on a practical level, what do we do if you're isolating? Call somebody. Like we talked about in the last video, do something scary. Tell somebody that it hurts, that you're hurting. Pick one person. Pick one person where you say, I don't know if we can go there, but this is the person I want to go there with. And start talking to them. A therapist is a great place to start, but to really go there with somebody that's in your life, that can be a friend. Let somebody carry you for a bit. And you don't have to make excuses for your existence. You don't have to be sorry for your existence. You don't have to be sorry that your heart can be heavy and a burden. That's relationship. So thank you for listening to this video. If you like it, please tell me that you like it and subscribe. These are really important topics. I know I'm saying that as the one doing them, but they really affect how we are as humans and how we interact, and that we can make changes in our life. We can start new relationships. We can be the ones that change our friend group. We can be the ones who start the real relationships we are so hungry for. I know it's scary. I know it's scary to be a burden. I know it's scary to be around other people when you're hurting, but it's so important. So thank you, and take care. Reach out.